You know the story. You see that dark, ugly spot in the corner of a room, or you catch that musty smell you just can't shake. So you clean it, maybe you even paint over it, but it always comes back. Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain and find out the real reason why, and more importantly, how you can actually stop it for good. So, just how big of a deal is this? Well, check this out. In the Netherlands alone, we're talking about over 1 million people living in a home with mold. Think about that for a second. This isn't just a few damp bathrooms here and there. It's a massive, nationwide problem hiding inside our own homes. Exactly. When you have a problem on that kind of scale, it's not just about aesthetics anymore. We really need to start thinking about the health of our homes, because 1 million homes with mold means 1 million potentially unhealthy places to live. And hey, don't just take my word for it. Public health services have been sounding the alarm on this for years. They've been connecting long-term exposure to all sorts of persistent health issues, things like constant headaches, feeling tired all the time, and even serious respiratory problems like asthma. It's a silent threat to our well-being. So let's really dig into those health risks, because it is so important to understand what's at stake here. We're dealing with something that's way more than just an ugly stain on the wallpaper. We're talking about something that can actively impact your health, especially for the most vulnerable people in your family. I mean, the list of potential problems is pretty worrying. You've got that daily grind of headaches and fatigue that just wears you down, but it can also lead to much more serious things like asthma and bronchitis. And over time, it can even weaken your body's defenses, which is especially risky for kids and older folks. And this brings us to the question that drives homeowners absolutely crazy, right? You spend your weekends scrubbing away with bleach, you buy that special anti-mold paint, and for a little while, everything looks great. But then, slowly but surely, those little dark spots start creeping back. Why? What is going on? Well, the answer is actually pretty simple. The reason it keeps coming back is that most of us are just treating this symptom, not the actual underlying cause. And believe me, there is a world of difference between a quick fix and a real solution. Let's break it down like this. On one side, you've got symptom treatment. That's your cleaning and painting. It's basically just a Band-Aid. It looks better for a bit, but the mold is guaranteed to return. But on the other side, you have the root cause solution. You tackle the moisture problem head on. That gives you a permanent result and gets your home back to a truly healthy climate. So here's the key takeaway. The mold, it isn't the real enemy here. It's just the messenger. The real villain in this story is the moisture that's trapped deep inside your walls. As long as that moisture is hanging around, the mold has the perfect little home to grow and thrive. Okay, so where is all this hidden moisture coming from? Because it's usually not from some big, obvious leak. Let's play detective and look at the 4 main culprits that can basically turn your walls into a giant sponge. Here are the usual suspects. Sometimes it's the air inside your house. Poor ventilation that traps all the steam from cooking and showers. Other times, it's the house itself. Poor insulation can create these things called cold bridges, where condensation loves to form. Or you could have dampness seeping in from outside, or even rising up from the ground. Let's zoom in on that last one for a second. Rising damp. This is a huge one, especially for millions of homes in the Netherlands built before 1980, which often didn't have a proper moisture barrier. The groundwater is literally being wicked up from the foundation into the bricks, kind of like a straw, creating a constant source of dampness at the base of your walls. Okay, so we've identified the problem, we've found the real enemy, the moisture. So now what? What's the solution? How in the world do you fight something that's literally inside your walls? Well, the answer is surprisingly elegant, and it's all about working with nature, not against it. The whole principle is this. Instead of trying to trap the moisture or block it with some kind of chemical barrier, you just give it a way to escape. You help the wall do what it's naturally supposed to do, dry itself out. You simply let it breathe again. Let's just compare the 2 main ways of dealing with this. The old school method is to inject a bunch of chemicals into the wall to create a barrier. And yeah, it can work for a while, but you're putting chemicals in your home, and that barrier can eventually fail. The other approach, a natural ventilation system, doesn't try to block the moisture. It uses natural airflow to constantly pull it out. It's sustainable, chemical-free, and best of all, it's a permanent fix. And look, this isn't just some clever new gadget. It's a method that's backed by real science. We're talking about research from highly respected institutions like TU Eindhoven that have actually validated the effectiveness of this natural ventilation principle for drying out walls for good.
So, after hearing all of this, you might be wondering, okay, what do I actually do now? I know it can feel like a lot, but it really just boils down to a clear, simple 3-step plan to take back control of your home's health.
First, just be an observer in your own home. Look for those telltale signs, not just the obvious mold, but things like peeling plaster or that stubborn, musty smell. Step 2, get some real data. A professional moisture inspection can tell you exactly what's going on and where the problem is coming from. And finally, step 3, armed with that knowledge, make the smart choice. Pick a solution that goes after the root cause, the moisture, not just the symptom on the surface. So the next time you see one of those dark spots appear, I want you to ask yourself this one question. Are you just going to reach for another temporary cover-up, or are you ready to find a permanent cure? Because the health of your home and of everyone living inside it really depends on that answer.